eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, or EMDR for short. It is one of the most profound therapy tools I have ever used. And so I wanted to hop on and sort of go over what it is and how it works. So I had someone in my comments mention it the other day, and I had forgotten that it was a tool that I had used. And to be honest with you, I had to use it for such a short period of time because it was so effective. And I don't know how it slipped my mind, but this is definitely something that I want to talk about today. So EMDR therapy. I'm not going to try to say the whole word again. It's very big. But there are different ways of doing this form of therapy. So I'm going to kind of explain how they do it and what it's actually doing for you. So in some instances, a professional will have you follow either their finger with your eyes. So you would be like left, right. You're not moving your head. You're just moving your eyes back and forth. And this is like keeping your mind busy, but yet focused at the same time in the present moment. Simultaneously, once they get your eyes going, they will tell you to recall an event that was extremely traumatic to you. So something that has stuck with you, something that maybe anytime you recall the memory of it, it's uncomfortable or you still feel the emotional charge inside of you. And so you are still doing the eye motion stuff while they are sort of walking you through that memory, helping you to recall in your mind, like who was there, what was the scenery, what was the event that took place, was someone abusing you? Did you get into an argument with somebody and, they said really terrible things? Was it a car accident? Was this, unfortunately, like from being in combat or war, a side effect of that is any profound memory that stays with you. Maybe you get flashbacks of this memory, or like I said, maybe it's just a highly emotionally charged scene that anytime it comes up, it creates discomfort, it creates pain, and it will trigger that pain. So it's sort of a form of exposure therapy. And like I keep preaching on my channel, you can't heal it unless you feel it. And so typically people tend to avoid or repress these memories, these emotions, because they're highly uncomfortable. And in my case, there were certain events in my life that just upon thinking about them, it would like trigger me into a spiral. It would literally like take out my entire day. And at this time I was still dealing with, it wasn't so much like OCD anymore. They weren't really intrusive thoughts, but anytime specific memories were triggered, it was like something terrible was like taking over my body. And so I stumbled upon EMDR therapy and began researching. And then I found a video on YouTube. It was a walkthrough. Now, it's suggested that you don't do this without a professional present or walking you through the process. So I found some guided EMDR therapies. And when you're doing it, initially, you're like, this is sort of silly. I didn't do the eye motion. So it was not one where you are following a ball on the screen or you are following a person's finger. Instead, it's called like butterfly tapping. And I can't really show you because I'm holding my phone. But my hand would go on top of the other hand, but pointing this way to look like a butterfly, like wings. And then you back and forth. So it'd be like tap, 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 tap. And you back and forth tap in this alternating method. And this is the form that I did. It was easier for me than doing the eye thing. And so I would just hold my phone in my knee, listen to the guidance, and they will tell you like when to start tapping and then when to stop. And they also guide you through the process of recalling the memory or revisiting the memory in your mind and how this works. So being exposed to that memory we often get triggered into such intense emotional states that it's hard to like separate ourselves from that state. It's almost like we're reliving it. So by doing the tapping or the eye movement, it's helping our body and our nervous system to understand that we are in this present moment. So we are not overtaken through a specific part of the brain. Like when the emotion gets triggered, it's like it sucks us in. You know, we're like overtaken by the memory, by the sensations, by the reliving of it. So by keeping yourself tapped or the eye motion, it helps you to visit that memory without getting like swept away by it. So it gives you smaller doses of exposure, and it allows your brain to process that incident in a way that it begins to dissipate the emotional charge that comes along with the memory. So it's not like we're reliving it. We're actually moving it out of that part of the brain and into a part where it's now being processed. We are in the current moment. We are not reliving the experience. We are just visiting. And so by visiting, we are able to address the emotional charge, allow it to come up without being totally swept away by it. And this allows that charge to dissipate. So during the process that I did, it was like he would walk you through an incident, and then, you know, you're tapping, and then you would pause, and then you would start tapping again, and then he would re-walk you through it. And okay, how do you feel about it now? And it might take you a number of times to revisit this memory and get walked through it. Or you may start to notice a change in your emotional state very quickly. And for me, this was the case. Initially, I was like, I don't know what memories to really like think of. And then I just had a couple pop up that were like, oh, that was really hurtful for me. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to revisit that place. And then through doing that and the tapping, it was allowing me to feel what needed to be felt without being taken away by it. And so for me, there were very specific triggers, like memories that would pop up that within just, I'd say 2 days, 2 separate periods of like sitting down and doing the EMDR, excuse my dog, that it was immensely cleared. Like these memories no longer posed like a threat or an issue to my system anymore. They didn't even pop up into my awareness. So it was like a huge breakthrough for me. EMDR therapy is fantastic. I can't express it enough. And it's funny, right after I had stumbled upon it, done the research, and then went through the process of applying the therapy, I had stumbled across a article, I think someone in the royal family, excuse me, I am not like fluent in celebrities or any of the world gossip, but like it was the one who sort of left the family with his wife. He explained that he used EMDR therapy. He used the same butterfly tapping technique to overcome a lot of his trauma. And so he had written an article where he was explaining the benefits of EMDR therapy. So it's widely known. I just feel like it's really underrated, or it's not like as widespread in the public as maybe some other therapy types, but it should be, because the results are phenomenal. I highly recommend it to anyone who has suffered a traumatic event, or maybe you just have a collection of memories that are really triggering for you. I love you guys. God bless.